Grog. Hello everyone, welcome to the Cider Shed podcast. I'm Matthew Weir. I'm joined by Keri Warbis. How you doing, Keri?
Great, thanks, Matthew. Yeah, how are you?
I'm all right, actually. I noticed you've become a bit of a Twitter celebrity regarding Danger Sausage. Yeah, Keri's been getting calls from the Borchester Echo.
Oh, yeah, but I've cancelled it because I weren't in the mood. Yeah, I've gone a bit viral. I've had 1.2 million views so far on a particular thread of tweets about Danger Sausage. I must say, proud of the fact that I've got Danger Sausage trending on Twitter in the UK. What an accolade for my kids to share with their children in future years.
When I opened up Twitter this morning, it was because I follow the UK trends a lot of the time. And it was number 1, Danger Sausage. Number 2, John Terry.
Which is the same thing.
I think the third one was Farage.
Oh gosh, yeah, drowning in notifications. It's all good fun. It was because I bought a kid's comic on my street, and I thought, oh, I'll share this with my lovely Twitter followers. Next thing I knew, boom, Susanna Reid has retweeted it. He's got 300,000 followers, and it just snowballed.
Yeah, that's bonkers. I think that's one of the main when you get a retweet like that. I've never known that silver jacket tweet of mine. I never know who's retweeted it. I just suddenly know that every 1 or 2 months it just goes nuts again.
Yeah, it has a blip, yeah.
And I always presume someone has shared it or liked it with a lot of followers.
Yes, weird. It's a weird phenomenon. What suddenly tickles the fancy of Twitter. And this week it's something that I did. But, in a couple of days, everyone will have forgotten about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, next week it'll be Angry Kebab or something. I might start writing that now.
Okay, yeah, do some childish drawings.
Yeah, to get on the zeitgeist. All right, Keri, let's have a little break and then come back and discuss the Archers, eh?
Lovely.
Thousands of people around the world are waking up to the news that their hard-earned savings may have been wrongly invested. At Cranford and Crystal, we're here and ready to hear your case.
I'd been saving for a new air fryer, but instead I sent it to Bartleby. Imagine my disappointment. I feel betrayed.
On a no-win, no-fee basis, we want to know if you donated money to what was purported to be the oldest pony in the world, only to find out later it wasn't.
This is the worst thing to happen to me since I sponsored Eccles to win the Ambridge Marathon.
I sent my life savings to Bartleby. I feel like a right f***ing mug.
If you've been missold oldest horse shite, we here at Cranford and Crystal are waiting for your call. Please be patient, as it's a right pain in the ass trying to pick up the phone with hooves.
So the week starts with quite an awkward conversation between Fallon and Harrison. So she's gone back to the cottage. And it's one of those difficult conversations where they're scrabbling around for things to say. Fallon at the beginning is saying, oh, yeah, and then Kenton put on the karaoke machine so me and Mum could duet, but he kept playing the wrong song on purpose. Was this in the pub or they were just doing it in the bar when everyone had gone home?
In their living room.
Yeah, I think so.
And how would they necessarily know that it was the wrong song, what with Jolene singing and all?
They'd got up to sing Endless Love and he kept on playing Napalm Death.
Slightly different, yeah.
Yeah.
And I liked Harrison's response, which was, sounds like fun.
But then, luckily, she remembered, oh, the dishwasher. And then they had a real sexy chat about that, didn't they?
Is it the pump? Was there any paperwork? But he then let slip that he's not been back to work. So it was easy for him to be home for the engineer of the dishwasher to fix it. And she was like, what? 2.5 weeks of compassionate... Because he said it's called compassionate leave, love, in a really patronising fashion. He switched a few shifts around. He used some holiday to have this whole 2.5 weeks off. Meanwhile, Fallon's been back at the tea room. Obviously, he's saying he needed it, but she wasn't happy about the fact he'd used holiday because they'd planned to have a holiday away. They've just not on the same page in any way. And then he stomped off to the cricket match.
Luckily, he was very well behaved there and very balanced and calls no concern for his teammates whatsoever. He shows up and then just immediately changes the batting order and decides he's going to go on first. I imagine he was like in his full police outfit walking out to the crease, and they're like, Harrison, you all right? He got asked that twice this week, didn't he?
Yeah.
Neil asked him and Pat asked him.
Yeah.
Oh, Pat.
Oh, yeah, come on.
Pat chat.
Haven't heard from her in a while, have we?
No. And I did a tweet saying, like, oh, you know, it's been a bit of a grim couple of weeks when you're quite relieved to hear Pat. And I don't mean grim script-wise. I mean the heaviness of the booze story, the alcoholism.
Yeah, I didn't mind her being back, to be honest. But Harrison's a bit manic, isn't he?
Oh, he's cranked right up to 11, isn't he? What was it he was doing? He was, he strode on to be an opener. And Pat did try to warn him, didn't he? Oh, are you sure? Oh, Tracy's put a lot of effort into this. Where was Tracy?
Tracy was there. We just didn't get to hear her incredulity at the situation.
Afterwards, George managed to catch someone out as well in the proceedings, which made, like, he can't do anything wrong at the moment, can he? Apart from that criminal thing he did the other
day. Yeah, that was pretty wrong. And lying about it consistently since.
But Harrison was hurling abuse at the player who got caught out. And Pat was mortified about this. Oh, earlier than that, though, Pat said to George, "Oh, Leighton Cross are rather quiet. That's unlike them. You know, they're usually quite a leery bunch. Perhaps they've read about the crash and have seen it on social media." The way Pat says social media.
Does this mean they're all following Bartleby's channel?
Oh, God knows.
Maybe Fallon served up quiches for the away team, and that's why they're all so quiet. They're just sat there being like,
really monging out.
Is the sun the daytime moon? I don't know.
And then after the game, Harrison was then shouting at the Ambridge lot about, don't forget about T20s coming up soon. And then Pat took him aside and had a word about his attitude in a really prim way, about it not being appropriate. Are you sure you're all right? And he then absolutely slated her bowling, which I thought she's 72 or something.
You're not meant to sledge members of your own team, are you? I mean,
I was saying, like, you could have chucked some googlies in there. And someone on Twitter who's been watching cricket for 50 years was going, he's only seen about 3 googlies in all the time he's been watching. But Harrison thinks Pat should have done a few. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Yeah.
I did quite enjoy that, though. Why don't you focus on your bowling? Pat, want to get your son to help you?
It was writ large, wasn't it, that he's cracking up?
Yes. I mean, you know that everyone on... who was it, Leighton Cross? They're all just there going, don't deck him, he's a fucking copper.
Well, yeah, true. He's not really behaving like a sort of pillar of society, is he?
No, he's behaving like a copper.
Oh, yeah. I love how Natasha felt that the social media thing has increased footfall. So she's all she's focusing on is like how many punters this is getting through the door.
So yeah, Harrison's going nuts at the cricket and Pat's trying to handle him. And completely the opposite situation, Kirsty's dealing with an angry pig.
Why is Kirsty? I know she's helping out because Rex isn't there, but why is Kirsty suddenly like wrestling with a pig with George and trying to inject it and stuff? Would a non-pig person be expected to do this? Imagine you injecting a pig.
Well, I wondered.
I thought you were going to say, well, I once did inject a pig. It was in 1980. Something. It was when I was working in Dublin. Friend of mine had a flat and there was a pig in it.
Well, there was that bit where she said, like, come on.
She said, I'm a calm person.
Kirsty said, I'm calm. And so that'll calm the pigs down. And George kind of said something along the lines of, yeah, right, mate.
Yeah, she was very blasé about the fact, I can speak to animals nicely. It'll be fine. It just felt a bit odd that she was suddenly having to deal with pigs and Jazza was phoning in instructions. And then Lily was there as well. What this biosecurity seemed to be very important at one moment. And then the next moment, half the village was in with the pig.
But isn't that because Jazza's from another pig unit?
Yes, Matthew, exactly that. I don't fucking know.
I think so, because you can't even eat a pork product, as George found out when he very wrongly ate a sausage roll in the offices at Barrow. And then Kirsty got attacked.
She got pigged.
More about that later, Keri.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
She did a right scream, didn't she? She was like, oh, come here, little piglet, come here. Jazz would go, step away from the phone. And then the next thing you heard was her screaming.
He did kind of laugh as well, though, didn't he? He was kind of enjoying the fact that she'd got herself into this situation. Do you know, that's what bloody annoyed me last week when Pip and Kirsty were having that chat. Pip was saying, no, Kirsty was praising Pip, saying, well, it was your presentation that got Peggy's money for the rewilding. I was like, yeah, which she then promptly shat on and wanted nothing to do with. And then Phoebe likewise buggered off as well.
Oh, yeah.
And left Rex carrying the can. And I remember Rex making Pip draw up a new contract. She was expecting him to be devastated. It's like, all right, let's just get it sorted out and move on. And I think she was a little bit crestfallen that they didn't need her as much as she thought they did.
Excellent.
So, yeah, you can't say trotter in front of the pigs because it's a cooking term.
Yeah, because they were going leg, hoof, foot, trotter, weren't they? Didn't they quite what to call it? Oh, and speaking of animals, I mean, there was a bit of farming in this week, at least, I suppose. But we learned also that Bartleby, disappointingly for George, is not the oldest horse by a long chalk.
Yeah, he's going to have stuff to say about that, I think.
He didn't say who was, though, or how old the oldest is.
No, I was disappointed we didn't get to hear that.
Yeah.
And Fallon's been posted on Bartleby's page as well, saying what a hero he is.
Oh, yeah. Bit weird. Worrying. Everywhere George goes, though, people are saying, oh, people are talking about you in the shop. Oh, have you seen that comment on Facebook? Oh. He can't move for people saying how great he is.
Well, that led to that wonderful scene on Monday with George and Freddie. That was, for me, that whole back and forth between the two of them, that could have been in a Scorsese movie. Overdoing it?
Slightly, yes.
The only thing is, in a Scorsese movie, I don't think you would take chocolate digestives into the pub and consume them with beer.
No, or play darts.
2 of the 3, but I don't think you should be eating chocolate biscuits at the same time.
Oh, chocolate biscuits and beer.
Yeah, it's just wrong.
Oh, Christ. That's a worse crime than pushing someone into the driver's seat of a car, isn't it? I have fondness for Freddie. And I did like how in the shop he was saying nice things to George. He was going to give him his chocolate biscuits because he'd bought the last pack, and tried to connect with him over the fact that George was feeling it's all a bit much, and he can remember how that was for him after the Grey Gables explosion.
Yeah, he mentioned that he always felt that he hadn't quite done as much as he could have every time he sees Linda's scars, which was a bit rough, wasn't it?
Yeah, and yet he was given the medal, wasn't he?
Did he accept it, or was he just offered it? I thought he turned it down at the time.
He did. Did he say, I was offered the medal?
Or maybe he flogged it on eBay.
Yeah.
For some wobbly eggs. Sold it, went out to a rave, had a great time, George. But I thought the interesting bit was when they started talking about prison. Because he said that he found prison really rough, and George was like, yeah, I bet. How long was he in for, Keri?
Oh, God, it was like 100 and something days. And was it 180 days?
Afraid not.
Oh, and he gave the hours as well, didn't
Yeah, it was 182 days, 9 hours, 11 minutes.
I thought it was 9 hours, and I said 180 days. That's not far off, is it?
What's the purpose of that scene? Is it to make George, I think it's twofold, isn't it? It's making George worry about the fact that they're throwing an addict possibly into prison for a crime she didn't commit. And at the same time, it's also making George think, well, I'm not going down for this because I don't want to be in that situation.
Yep. I think he'll do the self-preservation thing first, obviously, patch of time. But I do think he'll go, I cannot let Alice go somewhere like that when it's me who's hidden so much truth about the incident. I'm sure that's going to come.
Well, it rolls on, doesn't it? Will he be forced to confess or will he confess of his own doing?
You know, Joy's birthday party that's coming on Friday. I really hope that Joy sort of suddenly goes, oh, fruit cider. Someone will bring some to her birthday party and go, George likes those.
Yeah, I'm fully expecting there to be a fruit cider bombshell at the birthday party. Or like, oh, the last time I saw you, George, you were off to a party with those fruit ciders you bought.
Is he going to her party though?
Well, he might get invited because he's just VIP material now, isn't he?
Yeah, because Helen is arranging this surprise birthday party, isn't she?
Yes.
Good heavens. What a party organiser she is. She'll just it'll just be purely cheese, won't it? And one balloon.
Yeah, and some kind of, one note
music. What would it be? Enya,
that'll do.
Something like that.
Or Kenton playing a bit of Napalm Death. They've got snappy songs.
Oh, I've also remembered the Alistair's PTSD water experience. Keep going. Do not panic. I am completely fine. Focus on the heifer. Is that what you say when you're recording with me?
Oh, Keri. How could you think such a thing? Yeah, because Lily discovers this heifer that's broke through the fence.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I could hear her bellowing from the road and a delivery van blocked the road from the ford. And Ben said, yes, we never knew how crucial Hayden Bridge was. Yeah, because you've never fucking mentioned it before, mate, until last week.
No one's ever heard of it. And they were really sort of ploddingly going, that is 2 routes to the village, which is now blocked, isn't it? Making everything much more difficult and lots of delays getting things to and from farms.
When Lily called Alistair, he was like, yeah, I'm just finishing a booty call up Lakey Hill.
I did think when they were talking about the fact that there were 2 blocked exits, there was Ben driving this front loader that he'd never driven before, a heifer being swung about. I did think that the heifer was going to land on someone, or the front loader was going to tip over and that there'd be another sort of disaster and there'd be a whole delay of things getting to them. None of that happened. It was just Alistair sort of going, it's just water, no problem at all.
It's a fairly fraught situation. David's there, his son gets up into the front of the truck to drive, and then David immediately turns around to Lily with this kind of distressed heifer there and goes, and the main question is, will this prick up front remember to tell us?
Yeah. Will he shout like he's supposed to? I doubt it.
And then Lily shouts, he's like, oh shit, he did.
Oh, he did what he was supposed to.
I got through the whole of that heifer scene the second time, and roll with this, Keri. Just try and imagine that they're talking about Jill instead of the heifer.
Oh my gosh, that holds her weight!
Well, what are you doing? Shouldn't you be slowing down?
It'll be fine if we can get it on her.
If there's another flow.
Come on.
Shouldn't we wait for Alistair?
No, she needs shifting now.
We're going sideways.
Good girl. Let's get you back on your feet, eh?
To be fair, she does seem a bit more with it now.
I hope so.
So, you're hoist stood up with those chains?
Yeah. Is that tight on her hips, Ben?
Yeah, I think so.
Not sure. Was that as fast as it goes?
No.
Maybe just one more lap.
Like when Lily says, does this happen a lot?
What did you think of the Alistair PTSD thing?
In what sense? In how likely is it, or how well crafted it was?
I mean, would he be traumatised? He wasn't in the accident. What did he actually do, really?
I don't know, but experiences can have funny ways of reacting. Like,
Don't know about that.
I don't know. I mean, I had a gun poked in my face in Brazil, and I always kind of felt quite paranoid and anxious in like the month after that, wandering the streets. So,
well, yeah, that's slightly different, Matthew.
Well, it's still like a life-threatening situation, isn't it?
Well, his life wasn't threatened. He pulled up, got into the water. What did he actually do? Joy was already out of the water. Was out of the crash. He had to attend to her. And then George rescued Fallon. What the fuck what is he afraid of? And how is this going to play out when Denise wants to keep going swimming and that in the future?
Yeah, wild swimming in the perch. Let's go, Alistair.
Is it this that finally will make him see sense and go, no, I can't be arsed with you?
It's either that or that headlamp he's been wearing since the accident is cutting off the blood supply.
His head torch is too tight because it got wet and it shrunk.
Yes, and he thinks that's an anxiety attack. He's misdiagnosed himself.
Yeah, are you all right, Alistair? You don't seem quite yourself. And why have you got that lamp on?
All right, let's take a little break and talk about what remains.
Hey there. If you're looking to recreate the wonder of the flood, the poisoning of the AM, or the hectic Hayden Bridge fiasco, why not book a trip today to Borsetshire's newest water park? At
Alistair's PTSD water experience,
you can go diving back through every aquatic nightmare of Ambridge's recent times.
Alistair's PTSD water experience
is waiting for you. Book now. Don't bring Helen.
On Tuesday's episode, Lily's with Kirsty this time, and they're discussing what they're going to do with Jackson. He's the boar, isn't he?
No, that's Alistair.
There was a bit actually where they said, come on, we need to inject this big hairy boar. I was like, they didn't say Tony was there. What's going on?
Oh, they write themselves sometimes, don't they? Thank heavens. Neil was chatting to George, checking he was okay because he seemed a bit down at the cricket. George did drop in how weird Harrison had been. And he said he'd got this interview coming up with the Echo. But he cancelled it, which is quite unlike him as well.
When George is noticing that you're embarrassing, aggressive and weird, you've gone off your rocker, haven't you?
Yes, good point.
But this wasn't the thing that really caught my attention.
Oh.
Rochelle getting the invite. They've sent an invite letter to what they believe is a local address.
Yes, but do you know what my theory is about that, Matthew?
Go on.
I think that address is a cemetery.
Oh, Keri, are you sure?
It's a theory. It had no phone number.
Right.
It's a location so that Joy remembers where she has to go to visit her. Could be. Why is it in Borchester? Why did Joy move here? To be near the grave. I rest my case.
So we're totally pouring cold water on the fact that Joy claimed that Rochelle visited her in the hospital last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. Who knows?
Pat described it as the Rochelle Enigma.
Yes.
They opened for Hawkwind once, I think.
Did Mick roadie for them?
Mick did roadie. I can leave that in because we had a Hawkwind joke in the episode we lost.
Oh, bless you, remembering that.
You said Mick kept having flashbacks, and I said that's because he roaded for Hawkwind.
Oh, and we all know I nearly had sex with Lemmy, so...
Yeah, who was originally the bass player, wasn't he?
Oh, it's all about connections, isn't it? Life.
That was in our first ever Christmas special, wasn't it? The tale of you and Lemmy.
Oh, yeah. Whereas
the first ever episode we did for Patreon a long time ago.
Do go back and listen, everybody.
Yeah, I did post a pinned link to it in the Patreon not that long ago saying, like, if you've joined, you probably don't even know this one exists, but you have to go all the way back and it's there. I mean, she's not going to be there on Friday, is she? And she won't be in the cast list. I'm not even going to bother looking.
No, but it's interesting that an invitation has been sent. So
hang on. Miley Cyrus. Rochelle. Blimey. Didn't see that one coming.
But it's an invitation has been sent, so it will be received by somebody, won't it? And they'll be either going, who the fuck is Rochelle at this address? Or someone will go, Someone might turn up at this party, having got the invitation, to explain that Rochelle is in grave number 44.
Yeah, there's something not quite right about that, is there? Everyone's on, even the scriptwriters are knowing now that I think the listeners have picked it up and ran with it, and they've decided they have to shape the tail wagging the dog at this point, isn't it, with this storyline?
Yeah.
We also had that scene between Neil and Harrison in St. Stephen's. Neil just popped in to sort out the bell rotor.
Good heavens. I mean, there's a lot of bells in Umbridge, aren't
First
there?
bell of the week, Adam.
Yeah.
Second, Ian. Third, Tony.
Tom. Are all bells male? I suppose they have to be, don't they?
No, they don't have to be.
Tend to be, though, don't they?
Yeah, but I think if you're calling someone a bell, it could be male or female.
Okay, good.
I've certainly called men a fanny before in an attempt to annoy them.
Yeah, good. That's true. Yeah, Neil was quite nice, wasn't he, this week? Very supportive of Harrison, even though Harrison's being a bit weird. We know why that is. And Neil properly offered a shoulder. He said, his faith keeps him going. It supports him. He did empathise really, really well. And he said, and I will always be here if you need to speak to somebody, which was lovely, wasn't it?
Yeah. The only thing that freaked me out a bit about this, because Harrison's been using the Weir pregnant for a long, long time. And then in this episode, he said, when we got in Mick's car, we were pregnant. I was like, you weren't in Mick's car, you prick.
Yeah, he said we were pregnant when she got in that car. I wrote it down. Nevertheless, he's still saying we were pregnant when she got in that car.
You half prick.
Yeah, a demi prick.
I'm going to put Keri's little prick jingle in here now.
Bloody prick. Oh, yeah. Bloody prick.
Last week. It was the delay that made it. It was the way you went, bloody prick. You couldn't. It was up there with the mild cheddar moment from about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Neil, it's a lot more Alice chat, isn't it? They're really piling it on that she's going to get what's coming to her.
Yeah, because Harrison's like, oh God, all she ever brings to me and Fallon is grief, and why can everything she touches turns to wrongness? And Neil sort of went, well, yeah, I do know a bit about what you're talking about. Oh, sorry, yes, I forgot all about that because I'm so fucking obsessed at the moment. But I think he did calm him down, which was a relief.
Yeah, but he felt he might not be able to forgive, or did Neil kind of leave him that right to say you might not ever feel that you'd be able to do it?
Yeah, he made the very excellent point about, what you've got to remember, what you've got to consider is the point at which you're actually doing yourself far more harm by holding on to it all, the resentment.
How much contrition is there going to be from Harrison when he realises that George was driving a car, but he swerved and caused the accident because Alice was trying to exit the moving vehicle? I think it's going to be more damaging that he's been lying all this time when he had the opportunity. And had he just said at the time, look, I was driving the car, but I panicked because she was trying to get out, I think it would have been much, much better. And he's digging a massive hole for himself.
Yeah. And the longer it goes on, the worse it's going to be.
Okay, well, listeners, you may have noticed at this point, we haven't talked about Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that's because we are actually not here at the end of this week. So we thought we'd kind of do a day-by-day coverage of Sunday to Tuesday, and we'll probably get to the rest of the week on a midweeker next week. So we're going to take a little break here now, and then we're just going to give some shout-outs to some of our followers and listeners.
Hi there, it's Celia Sparrow here again. A lot of you have asked me, how on earth did I know there was a general election coming when I ran my campaign ad last week prior to the announcement? Well, the truth is...
Statement redacted.
Anyway, a lot of people on the campaign trail have been asking me where I stand on mistreatment of our local karate instructors, allowing dairy staff to be viewed during their working day by the general public, rigging of cheese competitions, revenge porn blackmail of my neighbours, dodgy tuna bakes and stabbing. And to that I always say, I'm not Helen Archer.
Celia Sparrow is not Helen Archer, and you can get chlamydia from sterling gold.
So, Keri, still reeling from our reviews last week. What's the review situation this week?
We've had quite a few. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 new 5-star reviews.
Lovely.
Yes, the first of the 5 5-star reviews that we have received is from Joe Diamond, and the title is Saturday Fix. Love Matthew and Keri. It's worth becoming a Patreon to get an Archer's fix on a Saturday. This is the most down-to-earth Archers fan pod. I love Ambridge on the Couch too, but Matthew and Keri are more relatable. The ads are brilliant, as are the midweek episodes, a must for serious Archers fans.
Oh, nice. I have to say, I find Ambridge on the Couch quite... I nearly said Ambridge on the Crouch then. I don't know what that is. That's a different podcast hosted by Peter Crouch, former England and Portsmouth striker.
Matthew, that's so funny, because on the last episode of Ambridge on the Couch, Harriet tripped up and said Ambridge on the Crouch and mentioned Peter Crouch.
No.
Yep.
Okay, I've just outed myself as having not listened to that.
I listen every week, so...
Yeah, and no, they're very relatable, and we have contact with them, and they're a lovely bunch.
Friends of the pod, yeah.
Yeah.
The next one is from Myrtle92. Title is Brilliant. This podcast is both funny and insightful. It's definitely worth subscribing on Patreon for the extra content, especially over the last couple of weeks. I often listen whilst out on a lunchtime walk and have to stop myself. Stop because I'm laughing too much. Sorry. It's a good job my village is considerably bigger than Ambridge. Otherwise, the local Susan Carter would be gossiping about the mad woman wandering around giggling to herself.
Nice
one. Be More Snell has written, I liked it so much I bought the company. Well, not quite, but I did become a Patreon. I just wasn't satisfied with 1 episode a week. I simply needed more. Massive bonus content for us shedheads. Yes, other Archers podcasts might do better character impressions, even interviews with the show's actors. But with super slick production, Adam Buxton-esque comedy ads and jingles, The Cider Shed is the best Archers podcast available on the market today. Word.
Woohoo!
My May. At the Curtis. And this is Courtney, who I went out for drinks with, so... He did promise when I went out with him that he had his review brewing. If you remember, I did mention that. A Blessing in Disguise is the title. I asked my mate down the pub to write this review. So in quotation marks, finally there's peace at the pub. Since discovering the Cider Shed podcast, Courtney has stopped bending our ears about the Archers every time we meet. It's been a blessing in disguise. The Cider Shed podcast is an absolute godsend for any Archers fan, or more importantly, for their friends who aren't. Our pal used to go on and on about the goings-on in Ambridge, leaving us feeling like we'd wandered into the wrong village. Now he's found his tribe in the form of Matthew and Keri of the Cider Shed, and we couldn't be happier. So here's to the Cider Shed podcast. It's made our pub chats a lot more varied and a lot less dull. If you've got a friend who's hooked on the Archers, point them towards this podcast. You'll be doing yourself and your local a huge favour.
Very good.
Brilliant. And then the final one is from Indigo 1985, Better Than Fallon Special Quiche. The constant pushing has made me not only write a 5-star review, but also join Patreon.
Oh, shit. We're going to get so much crap for this.
Ooh. Top work. I love this podcast. It frequently makes me lol, and I like the fact there's genuine fondness for the show in amongst the piss taking. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, thanks so much for that. And by the way, we didn't write those reviews. I think it's just a bit of a reaction, a counter reaction, isn't it?
Which I love because, they're sort of protecting us a bit after what happened, which is really sweet.
Thanks for all of those. Really, really nice. And as they mentioned, one way that you can support the podcast is to become a patron. You just go to www.patreon.com/The Cider Shed, and there you will hear our midweek specials, which are a fairly loose version of the Cider Shed, aren't they, Keri?
Yeah, imagine something looser than this.
Yeah. And you also get the main episode early and without the annoying ads. Just our silly ads remain in there for you. Before I go any further, did a jingle for Laura Lee last week and then didn't notice that she'd actually been in touch on Instagram to say, by the way, my name is pronounced Lorelei. So my apologies, Lorelei. I got it wrong. Blame the AI machine for that, I say. But 5 new patrons this week, Keri.
Blimey.
Let's give them their patron flowers. So first up was Joe Graham.
Hey there, Joe Graham. Thanks for becoming a Cider Shed patron. We salute you.
Woo!
Cheers, Joe. Thank you so much. Sophie Tothill, who actually made a point of telling me how her name was pronounced.
Lovely.
Badger! Yo, Sophie Tothill. Welcome to the Cider Shed patron. Thanks for your help. We are at your service.
Next up, Sarah Wood.
We are delighted to announce that Sarah Wood has entered the Cider Shed Patreon. Thanks, Sarah. Now, relax and get ready for a hot summer.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Then Harriet. I'm gonna take a run up at this surname. I think it's Harriet Chinicola. Cinicola.
Yeah.
All right.
Badger. Well, hello, Harriet. Yes, I am terrified of getting your surname wrong, but let me know, and I'm happy to try this again. In the meantime, thank you so much for becoming a Cider Shed patron. You're the best.
Welcome.
Thanks, Harriet. Thank you so much. And finally, Kenny Higgs.
Kenny!
A 1, a 2, a badger.
Kenny Higgs in the Cider Shed Patreon house. Welcome, King Kenny. Thanks so much.
Wonderful, Kenny. Thanks. We got a nice message. Well, you got a nice message from him, didn't you, Keri, as well?
Love Kenny.
Yes. Just a couple of things that slipped through on the midweeker that people said on our Patreon page. Obviously, there was a bit of chat about Fallon getting involved in the social media account of George. Robin Ben commented, "Only Fallons?"
Very good.
And Catty Pierce said, "Just listen to the Sunday night episode. Kirsty made a frankly incredible noise when she was attacked by the pig. I think we all need to hear Keri's rendition of it in the next pod."
Oh, Christ. Right. I've got a real thing about when I'm asked to do something, I can't do it.
Keri can 100% do Peggy if not asked to do it. But once Keri is asked to do something, it kind of all falls apart, doesn't it?
Yeah. I don't know why this is. Maybe I have a block.
We don't normally shout out new members. We just accept them in and embrace them into the Facebook, which is the Cider Shed Podcast. It's a Facebook group, but I particularly like this one because we have a question if you join the group, which is, can you name Eddie Grundy's dodgy mate? And there are multiple answers for that. But Stevie Marsden said this week, "Oh my God, I can't. I do know that Keri hates Shula, if that helps." So welcome, Stevie.
I love that creative answer.
I let someone in once who just said no. I just liked the pure belligerence of it. No, I can't. We know that sometimes there's a fair few humdingers on the Facebook group, but as we're a little squeezed for time this week, we'll circle back round and kind of get those next week because we're almost out of the door. And we have to get this thing out for the weekend. So thanks to everyone who partakes in the Cider Shed Podcast Facebook group, everyone who gives a lot of love on our Instagram at the Cider Shed Pod, and Twitter's the same, isn't it, Keri?
It is at the Cider Shed Pod, and we're also on Blue Sky at the cidershed.bsky.social.
One thing we have to mention, as the league drew to a close last week, was the final placings in the Cider Shed Fantasy Football League, which was lovingly set up by Liam Rayner. Thanks for all his help with that, and thanks to everyone that took part in it. All right, well, shall we go from the bottom?
Yeah.
That's what I always insist on.
Is it, Matthew?
It is, yeah.
Doing that taint thing again.
Bottom place, 45th, The Ballad of Bowen, Emily Crew. A mere 32 points above her. 1-star review, Peter Fickling. In 43rd, Pleasure Beach Friday, Nimrod Pleasure Beach. In 42nd, Grundy Pants, Rob Williams. In 41st, Ace of the Sever team, Audrey
Covarrubias.
Thanks, Keri. In 40th, Farm Fumblers, Kay Guyden. In 39th, Weetabix United, David Hall. In 38th, Chelsea Horror Bin, Alex Martini. In 37th, FPL Callum Scott. In 36th, Mimi's Angels, Mimi Warbis Mansfield.
She did not look at her team since it was set up.
In 35th, Weaver's Wanderers, Mims Dawson Riley.
Weaver's alive!
In 34th, Fafa FC, Dana Warbis.
Dinah, that's my mother, yep.
Oh, God, I've done it again. Yep. 33rd, Bartley Baggies, Carl Doherty. 32nd, Macaroni Cheese, Gabe Shepherd. In 31st, Pads, James Paddock. 30th, FC Prunella Scales. I don't know why that always gets me. David Nicholson. In 29th, Borchester Blues, Emma King. In 28th, Weaver's Return,
Pity poor Weaver.
Martin Harrison. 27th, Lad United by Sarn Warbis.
That's my brother, you did it right. Well done.
Yeah, I'm learning. 26th, Mollington United, Catherine Dorrell. In 25th, Terry Wigan, Ellie Brown. 24th, Plant Pot, Julie Scott. In 23rd, Russ of the Rovers, me. Did you see Arsenal's the arch they had to celebrate the championship that someone took a photo of in the parking lot?
Number 22, you'll get over it. Lynn Bird.
Okay, yeah, Keri, you take over. Go on.
Yeah, number 22, you'll get over it. Lynn Bird. 21, Casa Jackson, LA Jackson. Number 20, Mari's Shed, Mariana Dutra. Reed's Rockets at 19, which is Penny Bradley. And at 18, Keri FC, that's me. 17, Expected to Lose, Liam Rayner. 16th, Angie Attack.
It's Ange Attack, isn't
Ange Attack, is it? Dave Elston. Number 15, The Beauties, Julie Fremantle. At 14, B-Side, Ella Wilson. At 13, Can I Give a FC, Kate Melnick. At 12th, Dynamo Darrington, Matthew Penny. In the 11th spot, Cabell Towers United, Hugh Parker. 10th is Grealish's Anatomy, James Goldston. At 9th, Max FC, Max Warbis Mansfield, that's my boy, he came top out of our slot. In 8th position, Obi-Wan Kenobi Nil, I love that one, Andrew Marchetti. And at 7th, FC James is James Scott, so well done him. 6th position, Bounce Back Ability, Jethro Hallett. In 5th, Offside, Anna D. In 4th spot, Below Pars, Audrey Cameron. In 3rd, Bayer Never Losing, Alistair Sheldrick. In 2nd, 4-4 Poo, Nat Ogle, who we still haven't worked out whether they're a listener or not. And in 1st position, Things Can Only Get Better, is Chris Charlson with 2,475 points, a full 10 points in the lead.
Now, here's the deal. So we want to hear from you if you see your name on that first page, which was kind of 1 to 10, and then we can start to work it out, because we were going to send out some goodies to the people that finished in the top 3. And so, I said I would repeat that on the pod, which I'm doing now. All right, Keri. So you go off to Girls Aloud. I'm going to go to work.
Oh, Matthew.
And we will figure out how we finish this week in Ambridge next week on the midweeker. How does that sound?
Yeah, we'll be back and we'll fill in the gaps. Don't you worry, loves.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.